Hello and welcome to Lost Love Chronicles.
I'm 37 years old and have been married to Judy, who is 32, for 2.5 years now. Our relationship took a turn for the worse after a particular phone call that changed everything. It all began when I was in the sitting room, engrossed in football match highlights. Judy's phone started ringing, disrupting the game commentary. Annoyed by the continuous interruptions, I handed her the phone in the kitchen, urging her to deal with the caller. The phone rang again, and Judy, typically strict about keeping work separate from home, seemed ready to unleash her frustration on the person at the other end. We both worked in the corporate world, and Judy firmly believed in maintaining a boundary between our office and personal lives. It was her way of fulfilling our social responsibility as humans. After a moment of silence, she finally revealed the reason for the call during dinner. "They are transferring us out of state," she said. I was taken aback, wondering why and where the transfer was to take place. Judy explained that the company was expanding, and the board wanted to relocate employees to monitor the development of the new branch. I understood how transfers typically worked, and it was unusual for them to come with external commitments. Judy, being a married woman, shouldn't have been considered for such a transfer unless she had applied for it. When I questioned her about it, she denied applying and even rejected the offer at first. However, she eventually admitted that the transfer came with a promotion. It became evident that Judy, whom I admired for her ambition, had been working tirelessly for a promotion over the past year. She had volunteered, put in extra hours, and ensured her team of 7 functioned seamlessly. Now, the promotion she had worked so hard for was on the table, but it came with the unexpected consequence of a job transfer that would upend our lives. Judy's salary doubled, accompanied by numerous perks and benefits. Despite the financial gains, I knew her motivation went beyond money. Climbing the corporate ladder was her true ambition. Faced with the decision of whether she should accept the job transfer, she turned to me for advice. Deep down, I was torn, but I didn't want to hold her back. I opted to be supportive, telling her that I would stand by her decision. Little did I know that this choice would lead to unforeseen challenges. In my mind, people made long-distance marriages work all the time, although I hadn't witnessed it personally. I thought we could sustain our connection despite the distance. In hindsight, I regretted my decision, realizing that it was more complex than I initially thought. As Judy's eyes lit up with excitement, I convinced myself that we could make it work. I recalled friends who traveled for business, spending extended periods away from their families while maintaining strong marriages. However, looking back, I questioned whether I truly had a say in the matter. Judy never gave me much of an option. Expressing my genuine opinion might have jeopardized our relationship. Judy spent the evening thanking me for my understanding, but a wave of irritation swept over me. I sensed that she had manipulated the situation, subtly guiding me to a decision in her favor. She had baited me, and although I felt annoyed, her excitement tempered my emotions. Once her travel arrangements were finalized, we discussed how to make the marriage work. Daily calls and Judy getting 5 days off every month seemed like reasonable solutions. The thought of infidelity didn't cross my mind, trusting Judy's goal-oriented nature. As she boarded the plane, little did I know that our marriage had effectively ended. As the distance between Judy and me grew, our phone conversations became more intimate, and I found myself knowing more about her life than when we lived together. Initially, it seemed like I had made the right choice, prioritizing her ambition over my immediate needs. We were in a good place, at least until 2 months ago. Judy called one morning to cancel her trip back to Michigan. Her company's quarterly performance had been subpar, requiring her to focus on recruiting capable professionals to fill administrative roles. I understood and didn't mind, as I was on the verge of closing a significant deal that would grant me more flexibility in my work. The compensation for this deal was worth millions, giving me the opportunity to be closer to Judy for as long as I wanted. I kept the deal a secret, wanting to surprise her after it was sealed. To achieve this, I needed to be at my best, free from distractions. We went without talking on the phone for an extended period, although we exchanged text on WhatsApp. It was the longest time without meaningful conversation, but I was immersed in making the deal happen. A few days ago, a mutual friend accused me of being callous and manipulating after hearing what happened. I don't see myself that way. If anything, I feel like a victim. That's why I'm recounting the story, explaining how things unfolded between Judy and me. As the deal came through, I felt the excitement of a significant breakthrough. I was on the cusp of joining the Elite 10 in America. That night, as I waited for confirmation, I scrolled through my phone, tempted to call Judy. It took every bit of self-control to resist the urge. I wanted to share the news of the past week and how our lives were about to change. Instead of immediately calling Judy to share the news of our planned vacation to Paris, I decided to surprise her with all the details at once. I had meticulously arranged everything: the tickets, the hotel, places to visit, and even the dining options. Excitement filled me as I looked forward to breaking the news and witnessing her joy. However, as I scrolled through her WhatsApp story, I stumbled upon a picture that shook me to the core. In the photo, Judy was hugging a man named Henry, tall, olive-skinned, brown hair, and blue eyes, appearing no younger than 35. Henry was the first person Judy had hired when she started working, and she needed his expertise. The caption beneath the picture read, "Dark times reveal angels." A sinking feeling gripped me, and I should have suspected something was wrong. Despite the urge to immediately tell her about the successful deal, I held off. Instead, I impulsively booked the next available flight to California to see her. Upon my arrival, my suspicions were confirmed. Judy was having an affair with Henry. Determined to confront her, I called her company in Michigan to inquire about her location, disguising it as a surprise visit. Fortunately, the receptionist who answered was a mutual friend, and I managed to convince her not to reveal my arrival to Judy. During the flight, I played out various scenarios in my head, anticipating Judy's reaction when I shared the news about the deal. I headed straight to her branch from the airport, planning to take her to dinner and break the news gently. However, I was informed that Judy hadn't reported to work that day. I had to Uber to the address I was given, all the while troubled by the receptionist's surprise when she discovered Judy was married. Despite my concerns, I refrained from probing further, respecting Judy's inclination to keep her personal life private. After climbing 4 flights of stairs, I stood in front of Judy's apartment door, concealing a bouquet of flowers behind my back. Just as I was about to knock, I heard my wife moaning phrases like, "Keep going." The realization hit me like a ton of bricks. 5.5 months away had been enough for her to cheat on me. A surge of rage threatened to overwhelm me, but I managed to keep my composure. I left her apartment, driving back to her office to instruct the receptionist not to reveal anything about my visit. I even tipped her generously with $100. I checked into a hotel close to Judy's apartment, determined to keep a close watch on her. Over the next week, I followed her discreetly with a rental car. She remained unsuspecting, as her routine included work, yoga, and her apartment. It became apparent that she spent a significant amount of time with Henry, making it painfully obvious that he was the one she was cheating with. Despite calling and messaging her during this time, she used work as an excuse and pleaded for space to sort out her professional life. That's when I decided I wouldn't let myself be played any longer. I drafted divorce papers and waited for Judy to return home with Henry. It seemed like all they did was engage in intimate acts, as the sounds of groans, grunts, and moans filled the air the moment I arrived at her door. Picking the lock, I entered quietly, recording the scene with my phone. Despite the discomfort, I captured a full minute of them together before revealing my presence. As Judy scrambled for clothes, I felt a strange sense of power. The experience was heart-wrenching, but the pain in her face when I told her I would share the video with her coworkers and family if she didn't sign the divorce papers made it somewhat gratifying. She pleaded for forgiveness, promising to resign and seek therapy, but I was repulsed by her. Every image of Henry with her made me sick, and I refused to entertain her pleas for forgiveness. I served her the divorce papers as soon as I could. After receiving the signed divorce papers from Judy, she claimed to have resigned from her job. However, that didn't deter me from taking a drastic step, sending the video of her infidelity to her parents. I wanted them to witness the actions of the child they raised. The pain and betrayal I felt pushed me to expose the truth to those closest to her. It was a decision fueled by a mix of hurt, anger, and a desire to ensure the consequences of her actions extended beyond our relationship. The video became a way for me to make her face the repercussions of her choices, not just within our marriage but in the eyes of her family as well. The aftermath of exposing Judy's infidelity had some satisfaction in watching her relationship with her parents crumble. However, beyond that, it seemed like I hadn't achieved much. Judy found herself in a motel, working at a night bar, a seemingly fitting fate for the cheating person she had become. 3 weeks after my return from the Dominican Republic, Judy showed up at my door, begging for forgiveness and pleading to be taken back. It was somewhat amusing to witness her in such a vulnerable state. Her eyes were shot, swollen, and puffed, indicating either extensive crying or perhaps involvement with substances. Regardless, her emotional state didn't sway me much. I realized there wasn't much I could do to her. She was already an emotional wreck. The focus shifted to the man she cheated on me with, Henry. Allowing her into the house, she seemed to think I was reconsidering the divorce. She began explaining her actions, claiming she never thought I would go through with it. She spoke of losing her parents' respect and feeling punished enough for her regrets. I decided to test her sincerity with a simple question. How many times did it happen? Her answer, swearing she was telling the truth, showed a lack of remorse. According to her, running a failing business burdened her, and she didn't want to add to my troubles by sharing her problems. Her excuses left me dumbfounded, especially considering the ease with which she lied to my face. Reflecting on my father's belief that it was nearly impossible to look someone in the eye and lie, I felt betrayed. I couldn't fathom that our entire relationship might have lacked any semblance of truth. I didn't know the exact number of times they had been together, but I had a sense of when it started, and it certainly didn't happen just once. Even if I had been skeptical initially, my observations during the first 2 weeks in Michigan, along with the day I arrived, shattered any illusions about Judy's honesty. As for Henry, I had no information on him. Discovering that he was a married man infuriated me, but I remained composed. I saw an opportunity to extend my revenge not only to hurt Judy, but also to hold Henry accountable for his actions. There was no way he would escape the consequences of his betrayal. Despite my less than Oscar-worthy acting skills, Judy seemed eager to share everything with me, including lies about how Henry supposedly manipulated her. I was confident she had no inkling that I was baiting her. After ushering her out and asking for time to think, I wasted no time. I sent the incriminating video to everyone who knew her, including her receptionist friend at the office. My immediate action was to book a ticket to Michigan, intending to dismantle Henry's life using the information Judy provided about his marriage. However, my plan wasn't conventional. I wanted to hit him where it hurt the most. I rented a studio apartment close to Henry's residence, observing him from a distance while waiting for the right moment to drop the videos of his affairs around the office. I planned to watch his life crumble as I observed his wife's reaction. Amy, Henry's wife, turned out to be an absolutely gorgeous woman with flowing blonde hair, stormy gray eyes, and a captivating smile. Initially intending to bait her into an affair to gloat to her husband, I found myself having a change of heart. Despite my ulterior motives, Amy struck me as a kind and genuinely caring person. Our interactions moved from roadside greetings to coffee dates orchestrated through accidental bumps. In the process, I learned a lot about her, and for some days, I even forgot about the revenge plot that brought me to Michigan in the first place. Our friendship seemed easy to maintain, and I started seeing less of Henry for a while. It seemed like my plan didn't go as intended, but I later discovered that Henry had been fired and was actively searching for a new job, trying not to raise suspicions from Amy. During one of our discussions, Amy, in her honesty, revealed that Henry was an immigrant who arrived in the United States on a student visa. She also opened up about her marital issues, sharing how her husband had distanced himself from her until about 2 months ago when things suddenly changed for them. Unbeknownst to her, Amy had unknowingly provided me with enough information to completely destroy Henry. From Amy's story, it became clear that she and Henry hadn't been married for up to 3 years, indicating that he wasn't a citizen. Even if he had applied for a green card, I saw an opportunity to leverage this information. I needed Amy to turn against her husband, so I decided to tell her the truth about everything. Initially, Amy was understandably angry with me for lying, but she eventually got over it. I showed her the video, explaining how the knowledge of their actions haunted my dreams. Fortunately, it didn't take much to convince Amy. In the next hour, we planned how she would confront Henry. While I wasn't present to witness the drama, I ensured that he knew I was behind everything bad happening to him. The last I heard, Henry was facing deportation to wherever he came from. Now, I can say that I feel a sense of satisfaction. Thanks to that comment, I was able to express the full extent of my wrath, and in the process, I found Amy. In the end, all's well that ends well.
Dear listener, if you have reached this far, please click on the subscribe button. It will be a great help.